This is my Gen 5 G19. This is my EDC gun. This is the mag that I keep it loaded up with. This eats anything, so I doubt this is going to have any problems with it whatsoever. No problems. Hey, thanks for tuning in to Twang and Bang. That was my very first mag shooting Norma's new dedicated home defense load called the MHP for Monolithic Hollow Point. Of course it ran great because I was shooting it out of one of my Glocks. If I can't get around to cycle through a Glock, there's something wrong with the round and not the Glock. But of course it wasn't the cycling issues of a Glock that Norma designed the MHP around, because Glocks don't have cycling issues. It was around the cycling issues endemic to pistol caliber carbines like this Wilson Combat AR-9G SBR that the MHP was designed around. Its conical shape allows it to feed into a chamber like a full metal jacket, and its solid copper construction makes it less likely to deform than a lead-based hollow point when a really fast bolt slams it into the feed ramp. Well, is the MHP the hollow point that pistol caliber carbine owners have been looking for? That is what's coming up next on Twang and Bang. This is Norma's new dedicated home defense load called the Monolithic Hollow Point. It's called that because it is a solid copper bullet. They designed this to mimic the shape of a full metal jacket in profile, because one of the problems with conventional hollow points is that they don't feed very well in pistol caliber carbines. But as you'll see in the upcoming range footage, I had no problems with this feeding in any of my pistol caliber carbines, even the one that really doesn't like to feed hollow points at all. It's not exactly shaped like a full metal jacket. Of course, you have the small hollow point. It's flattened on the sides of the petals, and I bet that's to keep the material down on the sides so that the petals actually curl back. If this had a normal radius from the tip all the way down to the shoulder like a full metal jacket round, that would probably be too thick for the petals to peel back. But at the same time, even though there's no lead in this whatsoever, they're able to pack 108 grains into this solid copper bullet. I think that's impressive in itself. Here's something that's really cool. I picked up a couple rounds out of the dirt at the range after they hit the steel target, and watch. 108.3 grains. 108.3 grains. 108.1 grains. That's after hitting a steel plate. These things stay together hitting a steel plate. You're not going to get these things to fragment even after hitting bone. That is serious weight retention. Here are a couple rounds that I shot into jugs of water. They didn't expand like they would in tissue, but I think it gives you an idea of how they're constructed. I'm not sure what the silver coating is. I can't imagine it's going to be much better for reliability than copper itself, which is already pretty slick. The coating is actually sprayed all the way into the hollow point itself. Like other manufacturers do for their defensive ammo, Norma coats the cases with black oxide, which gives it a slicker feel for better reliability, better feeding in a dirty gun than standard brass. That's not surprising. Put the two together and you actually end up with a pretty cool looking round. For me though, I actually don't care what it looks like. I just care that it's reliable in a pistol caliber carbine for something that I could use for self-defense. That's why I took 3 different 9mm pistol caliber carbines to the range. 2 are a bit finicky with hollow points, and they'll be a great test to see if the MHP's full metal jacket profile does the trick. You can never have too much ammo, but in this case, I do have a limited number of rounds, so I'm only shooting 15 at a time, but that should be enough to see whether these things run the ammo. Nice. No problems. And they are screaming out of there. The sonic crack is echoing through this whole range. That is sweet. This particular carbine is the quietest suppressed 9mm that I own, so I wanted to see what it could do with the crack of the MHP. This is one of the coolest guns I own. It's an integrally suppressed 9mm from Arms. KG made suppressors, made the barrel and suppressor for this. I think that sounded fantastic. Now to finish up with some unsuppressed shooting. So this is a straight blowback AR from Wilson Combat. I think it's my best looking AR9. They call it the AR9G. No problems. Super easy. Chews it up and leaves a really interesting mark on the target. Let's go take a look at the target and I'll show you what I mean. So this is the Evil Roy target from shootsteel.com, and it looks like a circle from the back, but it's at an angle actually. And all those copper colored streaks, that's from the Norma ammo. The stuff that doesn't have a copper streak attached to it was actually from Norma Full Metal Jacket ammo that I use to kind of zero these things, because a lot of times I'm just switching out optics just for running tests like this, so I always have to zero for a lot of my guns. And let's see if we can find some fragments. Yeah, that's definitely one. It's still hot. Ow, can't even hold it. Holy cow. But you can see that there's actually some copper color in there as well, and that's actually what's streaking across and leaving those actually pretty cool looking streaks on the steel target. Of course, it's just not a Twang and Bang video about pistol caliber carbines without running some plate rags. AR-based pistol caliber carbines like the CMMG and this Wilson Combat offer a lot of really cool advantages. The external form factor is familiar to AR-15 owners. Use the same fire control groups, use the same stocks, grips, forends, but the internal geometry is based around feeding a long 5.56 case, not a short 9mm round like this one. The biggest difference between an AR-15 based pistol caliber carbine and something like a Glock is in the feed ramp. Look at the feed ramp on this barrel from Facts and Firearms. This is for my Gen 4 G17. It's a threaded and fluted barrel, but it's got a very wide, very deep, very generous feed ramp. This has no problems feeding pretty much any shaped bullet. It's going to catch that ramp and go right up into the chamber. If it does not feed in this barrel, there is something wrong with the design of the bullet. Most AR-15 based pistol caliber carbines have barrel extensions that are shaped like this. There are no individual feed ramps. It's just basically a chamfer leading into the chamber. Look at how shallow that is compared to the feed ramp on this Glock barrel. It's going to have a much harder time than this feed ramp catching and directing any shaped bullet into the chamber. But of course, these generally don't have problems with full metal jackets. You run into a problem when you get a flat, fat hollow point that wants to hang up on the face of the barrel extension before it gets into this chamfered section. The CMMG Banshee uses a standard barrel extension from your 5.56 AR-15. You see these feed ramps right here on either side? Those aren't even used in this gun. Instead, pistol rounds ride up this center lug here, which is shaped a whole lot more like a standard feed ramp in a Glock, but it's still nowhere near as deep or as broad as what you're gonna find on a Glock barrel. And that's why Norma designed the MHP to be shaped this way. It's shaped in a way that is much more likely to feed in a standard barrel extension like you're gonna find on this Wilson Combat AR-9G, on an AR-15 based barrel extension like in this Banshee, and of course on other pistol caliber carbines as well that might not be based on the design of the AR-15. If you can feed full metal jacket rounds through your pistol caliber carbine, you should be able to run the Norma MHP. Since other channels have already done excellent gel tests showing the massive 9/10 of an inch expansion of the MHP, I wanted to focus on testing its reliability. Given its shape, it really isn't surprising to me that it fed just fine in all of my pistol caliber carbines. If you have a PCC that's having trouble feeding hollow points, the MHP is around that you should give a try. I think one of the things that was most surprising to me was when I found out that the MHP is 100% made in the USA. MSRP for a box of 20 like this is right at $22, which puts it there with popular hollow points from other manufacturers. If you want to learn more about the MHP, be sure to visit norma-ammunition.com. Be sure to sign up for my mailing list. It's the only way to be sure to stay in touch with me no matter what happens to my channel here on YouTube, like getting buzzed by an airplane. I really appreciate you watching Twang and Bang, and I hope to see you next time.